Hey everyone, I'm Bite-Sized Otaku, and this is Vyke, a Tarnished who was closest to becoming the Elden Lord, but travelled deep beneath the capital to be scorched by the flame of frenzy. But is his build viable? Well, let's find out, but like the video and give it to me bite-sized. So for our equipment, we're using the Fingerprint set, which provides us with good defense leading towards fire, but suffers greatly against lightning and provides us with only 51 poise, which is a solid foundation to build upon in our improved version. Then we have the Frenzied Flame Seal, and this will provide a boost to our Frenzied Flame incantations by 20% and causes a madness buildup of 55 for physical attacks made with the seal. So the seal benefits from strength, dexterity, intelligence and faith, but it receives the biggest bonus from faith scaling, which makes this seal great for builds that utilize a split distribution of stats. And we'll be using this to cast the 3 incantations that Vyke uses, mainly the Flame of Frenzy, Frenzied Burst and Hellish Shibiri, which all cause both damage and a buildup of madness against enemies. Then we have the Vyke's War Spear, which benefits from dexterity scaling and comes with a madness buildup of 65. It comes with the weapon art Frenzy Flame Thrust, which creates an explosion of frenzied flame, leaving a burning residue on the ground for both damage and massive madness buildup. The weapon art shares the same animation as Storm Assault, meaning you will benefit from the initial stagger and downward thrust, and we don't use any talismans for this vanilla version of the build. For our stats, we have 60 Vigor, 35 Endurance and 16 Strength to help us equip the Vyke's War Spear. The 33 Faith is a minimum requirement for our incantations, but it will also benefit the scaling of our Frenzied Flame Seal, and the 40 Dexterity will be useful for the Vyke's War Spear scaling. This is based on the level 137 Vagabond, with all equipment upgraded 1 level below the maximum, which will avoid you having to use a rare Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone. So what's the strategy for using a Vyke cosplay in combat? Well, we have access to a variety of ranged attacks which will complement our physical attacks, and the objective is to build up the madness meter while dishing out damage. The madness meter, when fully charged on an enemy, will cause massive damage as well as stunning them for about 3 seconds or until they are hit by an attack, similar to sleep. This is an opportunity to get in a free attack or recover from a tough situation. Frenzied Burst is great for dealing damage at a distance, as the beam comes out quickly and has a fantastic range, while being chargeable for even more damage. You can also follow up with the Flame of the Frenzy, which shares a similar animation to Frenzied Burst, but unleashes a flurry of medium ranged explosive flames in random directions. Then we have the Howl of Shibiri, which causes severe madness build-up repeatedly to nearby enemies, but can also affect the caster. There's also a slight amount of damage dealt, but it's not a massive amount of damage to use it for that reason alone, and the animation will leave you exposed, alongside suffering from short range. But even if the attack misses, we will benefit from plus 25% damage at the cost of plus 30% damage taken for 40 seconds. Then we have the Vyke's War Spear, which is great for dealing good damage and madness build-up, but suffers from a very slow attack speed due to the fact that it's a great spear rather than a normal spear. The weapon art is great for building up that remaining bit of frenzy or finishing off an enemy with low amount of health, and is even good in PvE for dealing damage. And our attack options on the spear are pretty good, with our standard attack being a thrust and our charge heavy being a swing. Our guard is a simple guard, while our jumping attack is a thrust into the ground and our rolling attack is a slash. Finally, our backstep attack is a running thrust, while our crouching attack is a slash. I'm not a fan of the slashes on the Great Spear, but it does provide us with some variety to our moveset. But a major drawback on the PvE side is that most enemies in the game outside of a small number of humanoid enemies are immune to madness. That alone deals a major blow to this build's viability in PvE, as you will likely mow down hordes of humanoid soldiers, but will suffer against bosses or other non-humanoid enemies. This means you're better off utilizing other cosplay builds for PvE runs, as this build can't be used to its maximum effectiveness, which is the madness build-up, which helps to compensate the build's lack of damage when compared to a more custom setup. But this won't be a problem in PvP, where we are fighting against humanoid tarnish, ensuring we can benefit from both damage and status effects alike. On our weaknesses, we will struggle against quick enemies due to our slow attack speed, or enemies who deal massive damage in single swings, as trading is both difficult and not advised due to our relatively low damage. You can also be staggered out of attacks due to our low poise and damaged by maxing out your own madness meter, so be sure to keep an eye on it. But overall, I would mark this as being a viable PvP build which suffers in PvE due to enemy resistances. We have a build which dishes out great damage and madness build up, but suffers from a lack of effectiveness in PvE, and slower attacks which can be easily interrupted by quick attackers, or even our own aggressive casting. But let me know your thoughts on the build, and of course subscribe. This is Bite Sized Otaku, and I hope you enjoyed.